All right, this is a 184 voice, 10 minutes.
I'm for the plaintiff, Mr. McCaffrey.
I am the witness.
I am for defense number 2, Ms. Blair.
I am defense attorney Ms. Reinhardt. Starts with me. Ready? Please state and spell your full name for the record.
Yes, it's Stephen Kenneth Hook, STEVENKENNETHHOOK.
Mr. Hook, have you ever had your deposition taken before?
Yes.
On how many occasions?
I'd have to guesstimate maybe 20-30 times.
Have they all been relative to your employment with the city of Newport Beach?
Yes.
To your knowledge, have you ever been designated as an expert witness in a civil case?
No.
Have you ever testified at a trial?
Yes.
On how many occasions?
I can remember approximately 3 times.
Were those also in your capacity as an employee of the city of Newport Beach?
2 were.
And what was the other one?
It was a criminal case I was a witness to.
And when was the last deposition that you gave?
Last Wednesday.
So is it safe to say that you don't need me to go through all the rules and regulations of these things?
Yes.
All right, then I'll just remind you of one. Do you understand that the oath you just took was the same oath you would take in a court of law and carries the same penalty of perjury, which is a crime?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Who is your current employer?
City of Newport Beach.
How long have you worked for the city of Newport Beach?
24 years.
What is your current position with the city of Newport Beach?
Chief Building Inspector.
You work in a specific department with the city?
Building Department, yes.
How long have you been a chief building inspector?
Well, just about 10 years.
What were you before being a chief building inspector?
I was one of the senior building inspectors.
How long were you a senior building inspector?
Let's see, it would have been about 7 years.
And what were you before you were a senior building inspector?
I was an inspector too.
How long were you an inspector too?
Whatever is the balance of the time at Newport, 17 less 24, so that would be 3. So about 7 years at that also.
Is there anyone else above you in the building department at the city of Newport Beach to whom you report?
Yes, the building director,
And who is that?
J. Albatar.
Has he been the building director the whole time you've been a chief building inspector?
Yes, he has.
What are your job duties as a chief building inspector?
It would be to manage the inspection division.
And what is involved in managing the inspection division?
It would be to supervise the field inspection staff.
How many inspectors do you have working under you now?
12.
Are there any other chief building inspectors at the building department?
No.
During the time that you've been a chief building inspector, have there ever been any other chief building inspectors?
No.
So far as supervising the inspection staff, what does that entail?
Well, ensuring they follow the policies and procedures of the department and dealing with complaints generated through the work in the field, making sure that's all handled according to department policy.
Do you also coordinate their schedules?
Yes.
How do the inspectors know what properties to expect?
It's by request of the permit holder.
Just to get the order of things, a contractor comes into the building department and wants to pull a permit. To your knowledge, how does someone go about doing that in the city of Newport Beach?
Well, they would begin by coming to the permit counter with probably, depends on the circumstances, but normally 3 sets of plans for the project they wish to build, fill out an application, make a plan fee, and submit it for a plan check.
It then goes to a plan check department.
Well, it goes to one of our plan check engineers with a sign for one of them to review, and then they would review it at that point and either approve it or recommend inspections before they could approve it.
Do you supervise the plan check engineers?
No, I don't.
In 2001 and 2003, did you supervise any of the plan check engineers?
No.
And once the plan check engineers prove a set of plans, what happens next in the building department?
Well, then they are eligible for a permit once the plan is approved. So normally they would then pay the permit fee. and they would issue them the permit for the work that's on the plan.
Who issues the permits?
Well, it's the plan check engineers with help from our permit technician doing the clerical portion of it.
In your experience, is it the plan check engineers that decide what type of permit needs to be pulled?
Yes, they would determine that.
Once a homeowner or contractor is issued permits for work, is it then the responsibility of the homeowner or contractor to contact building departments for inspection?
Yes.
Is there any internal procedure with the building department to check on issued permits to see if they're ready for inspection?
It's part of our electronic system. They change the status from pending to approved when the permit is issued. Then our staff knows from that it's cleared to go ahead with inspections.
How is the building department notified that a set of plans has been changed from pending to approved?
Our permit technicians change it. We have a software system called Permits Plus, and they change the status in there. The staff knows from looking at their computer.
Is this the same software that's been in use since 2001?
Yes, there are revisions to it, but basically the same software.
How would an inspector know to check on the status of whether or not the plans have been approved?
It's built into our system by the inspection request process and the system where you call an automated number. It won't accept an inspection on a project unless the status is changed to approved, so it usually doesn't come up because of that.
Wait a minute, his question was a little different. Once the status has been changed to approved in the Permits Plus system, how is a building inspector notified of that?
It would be by the issuance of the hard copy of the permit. It goes to the inspector that's assigned to that area of the city.
Who does that assignment?
I do ultimately. I mean, it's a prearranged geographic area.
The hard copy is then issued and given to the assigned inspector for that area?
Correct.
Is there some sort of internal building department policy that assigned inspector is supposed to check on any pending permits, even if the builder or homeowner doesn't call for an inspection?
I don't understand. Maybe you could say that one more time for me.
All right. After the inspector has that hard copy issued to him, is there any internal procedure with the building department that inspector is supposed to check on that pending permit?
The word pending is what threw me. The way our system worked is it's an approved status from pending once the permit is issued, and so I guess that's my confusion. It is approved, and so there's really no need to follow up at that point.
Sir, I think we're getting confused over pending because it means something specific to you, so let me change it. Once the inspector has the hard copy of that permit and that permit is open and approved, is there any internal procedure by which that inspector is supposed to follow up on that open permit to see if any work's been started?
No.
Is there any internal building department procedure by which that inspector, say every 10 days or 3 days or whatever, is supposed to follow up on an open permit to see what work has progressed?
He's only supposed to follow up if it goes long enough that it's due for expiration, would be the first point where they are required to follow up.
And at what point is that?
Well, it's either 180 days from when it was issued or 180 days from the last documented progress on the job, which would usually be an inspection.
What is supposed to be done at that 180-day mark?
Well, either the terms of the permit are still active or it should be expired.
What is the building inspector supposed to do to determine that?
Well, he's supposed to check the permit. If we don't have inspection on it, we try and verify if work is started or not. And if no work is started, then we would expire the permit.
What is the procedure that an inspector is supposed to follow to verify if work's been started at the 180-day mark?
Well, usually they would, if it's possible to see the work, they would, either stop by the site is one option, call the parties to the permit. If they have a phone number, we can contact someone, at least make an attempt to try and determine either on the phone or in person if work is started.
Is there a standard form letter that's sent out to homeowners?
Yes, there is.
And are building inspectors supposed to send out that standard form letter?
Yes.
How far in advance of the 180-day mark is the inspector supposed to send out the form letter warning expiration of the permit?
Well, our policy is 30 days prior to the expiration to send the first form letter that notifies them that it's about to expire and lists some of their options.
Is there a second form letter that's supposed to be sent out before the expiration?
Well, the second one is at the point that they actually expire, and it says that it is expired, and then list what their options would be at that point.
And after the expiration letter is out, is a building inspector supposed to keep the permit for a certain period of time to see if the homeowner or contractor responds to the expiration letter?
You are speaking of the second letter, Council?
Yes.
It would expire in our system, and then they fill in the information there and then send it through to be processed.
In 2001, was there a stamp